Welcome to Ohio Roots, the official podcast of the Ohio Genealogical Society. Join us as we embark on a captivating journey through Ohio's rich genealogy, history, and abundant resources. Hosted by me, OGS Executive Director Noel Poirier, this podcast brings you insightful conversations with a diverse array of guests, from OGS members, chapter leaders, and staff to renowned genealogists, historians, and influential figures within the genealogical community. Each episode delves into fascinating topics and captivating stories. So grab your headphones, hit that play button, and join us on this enthralling journey of Ohio's roots. In this episode of the Ohio Roots podcast, we're speaking with Deb Deal. Deb is an OGS trustee, but more importantly, for this discussion we're going to have, she's the co-chair for the 2024 OGS Conference that's being held at Kalahari Resort and Convention Center in Sandusky, Ohio in April of 2024. So I'm really excited to find out what they've got planned, what speakers are going to be there, what some of the subjects are going to be. So I really hope you enjoy this conversation with Deb Deal. Well, I'm really happy to have Deb Deal today on the Ohio Roots podcast to talk to us about the 2024 OGS Conference, which we're all excited about, and I'm really excited to hear about it. So thank you for joining us today, Deb. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Always fun. I'm going to start with a question I ask everybody because I think it's nice for our listeners to know a little bit about the folks who we have on the broadcast. So talk to me about your origin story as a comic book hero. How did you get involved in genealogy and family history? What was it that really got you started?
So I live on my husband's family farm. Of course, it's my farm too now. And I was using this old tractor, and it was bumpy, and the seat was half of it was bad. And I thought, I wonder what this was like in the 1860s when they bought this piece of property. That's how I got started. So started going to the library, and it's just hit from there. I just love it. I've done our family's history here on the farm, and it's been so much fun.
And like a lot of folks, I assume you also do genealogy for other folks too, correct?
Actually, I did at one time. Okay. I'm also just retired from being the co-director of Genealogy Research Institute of Pittsburgh.
Right.
So I'm interested in doing more of my own genealogy now as well. As part of my duties, as far as an OGS trustee, I like to give back.
Sure.
So last night, I taught a class in Morgan County. Had nice. 15 people. So I teach in Morgan, Noble, and Muskingum.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I'm sure that's appreciated by everybody. I know I feel like I learn something new every time I go to somebody's presentation, which is nice.
Absolutely.
A tip. And even just interviewing folks for the podcast the last several weeks, I've picked up little tips that I hadn't expected from folks who do very specialized things. So now we're going to put your hat on as the OGS co-chair for the conference, right? Is that the title? Okay.
Yes.
Co-chair. All right. And who's your other co-chair again?
Karen Seidrich.
Right.
She's excellent.
Karen's great. So talk to me about what's planned.
Well, the conference is going to be from April the 10th to the 13th, and we're really excited about sharing some information about the Fun Fabulous 50s. That's our motto this year. We have planned some different things this year. We, of course, have workshops on Wednesday, and we also have additional workshops on Wednesday that are free to OGS members. And what they are for, it's for the chapter management.
Oh, wow.
Things to enable you to help your chapter just a little bit more. How do you take care of the finances? How do you attract new members?
Right.
So those are free to OGS members, and we hope that will be a benefit. And there are 4 of them, so we're hoping that will be a benefit to them.
Well, excellent. I know it's something that we've talked about in the past. Last couple of years certainly was having programs that would benefit chapters and chapter leaders so that they could kind of take those skill sets back home with them.
Well, to be honest with you, the chapters are the backbone of OGS.
Right.
And if we can help them in any way, that's what we need to be doing. And I think this is an excellent way of helping them.
Yeah. The 50s thing, is that a play on the 50 census coming out? Or is that something totally unrelated?
Kind of, but I'm a child of the 50s. I was born in the 50s, and I think we're going to have a great time. We're going to, on Wednesday evening, we're going to have a twist and shout. We're going to have, a social with some games and ice cream and little mini hot dogs and chips, that type of thing set in the 50s.
Right.
So we're looking forward to that. We think that will be something a little different. So
Yeah.
come try it.
And I think it's important to highlight the fact that, most of what gets people involved in organizations like OGS or others is the social interaction, is the ability to be around other people who are like-minded. And so it's nice to have those opportunities at conference to just kind of socialize with people. I know I enjoy that part.
It is absolutely wonderful to be with people who don't have that, like stare a deer in the headlights thing, because, you always learn something when you come to a conference, whether you've been researching 1 year or 25
Right.
years, you always
Sure.
learn something. And the communication between people is a big part of that.
Are there different tracks during the conference itself?
Oh, yes. We are, first
Okay.
off, on Thursday morning, our person who is our keynote speaker is Sunny Morton. Sunny
Oh,
is
excellent.
absolutely amazing. She's
Yeah.
going to talk about not things 100 years ago, but the stories that we need to learn about in the 50s,
Mhm.
that type of thing, not just,
Sure.
and to make sure you talk about those things. I'm sure that all of us wish that we had talked to some of our relatives a lot sooner than later.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting. It's very funny because there's a trend in the folks I've spoken to. Sunny was one of the first people I spoke to for the podcast. Actually, I think she's our episode 1. But one of the things I've heard time and time again so far in interviewing people is talk to the people who are alive.
right.
The dead people aren't going anywhere. So talk to the people who are alive to get those stories. And Sunny really is a great storyteller. So that's
She
going to be. I'm really
is.
looking forward to that.
Yes, and she has other presentations during the week. Also, she's going to talk about church records, which she's written an excellent book on church records.
Mm-hmm.
So something else that we have military records, and we have a couple. I mean, we have several, but 2 key people that we have is Michael Strauss and Craig Scott coming in. So I'm really appreciative of those gentlemen sharing their expertise with us.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have many things on DNA, technology, that type of
Right.
thing. Daniel Horowitz is amazing from MyHeritage, and he's going to give several lectures and talk to us about that. We have records, lots of record sessions this year.
Okay.
Even though you think that, just the 1950 census, you need to go back and do other census research to make sure that you've checked on everything. And like I said, I still tell my people in this area that 1880 census I did years ago, I went back and checked, found something that I had missed.
Right.
So I think those things are important too.
Well, I think, yeah. And you touch on it with the fact that, you learn something every time. And part of that is because you're growing as a researcher. Your skills are growing as a researcher. And then also part of it is new records come to light, technology changes. I mean, it's always great to stay up on that stuff by attending things like OGS Conference.
And you have to, and by the way, OGS Conference is the only conference in 2024 that's live. There are going to actually be people.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that we're trying to promote is people would like to get back to being in person again, like being in that genealogy bubble.
Right. Well, again, that social element that no Zoom meeting can provide you.
Right. Something else that we have, our luncheon speakers are excellent this year. On Thursday, we have Beidler, Jim Beidler, that's going to talk about some of the things that he's learned over the years. And then we also have Michael in the same week, have Michael Lakapo on Thursday evening. He's going to talk about the 10 things that he's learned in 40 years of genealogy. Now, anybody that's listened to Michael knows he's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and then Friday, Daniel Horowitz is going to talk about MyHeritage and food brands. I've never had any, talk about food brands. So I thought that would be interesting.
Like what in what way? I'm curious.
Well,
or am I not allowed to know?
Well, I actually looked at the program before we are talking today, and it really doesn't say what he's going to do.
Well, that'll be interesting then.
I think it really will be too.
The Ohio Roots podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Genealogical Society, the premier gateway for discovering your Ohio family history. To learn more about joining, visit www.ogs.org.
If you enjoy listening to the Ohio Roots podcast, we would really appreciate it if you could go to whatever platform it is that you listen and give us a good review. Reviews help us get more listeners and reach more people, with Ohio Roots and what we're trying to do with the Ohio Genealogical Society. So please leave us a nice review, and thanks for listening.
Something else on Saturday, we do have our bank or our annual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
This annual meeting is not just for seeing what's going on. I mean, it is wonderful to know what's going on at OGS,
Right.
but we do hand out book awards, chapter awards. And even though you don't have something going on, it's a wonderful way to help see what Ohio's doing.
Yeah.
We're still one of the premier societies in the country. So doing a wonderful job. So excited about that.
And so where is it going to be held this year?
It's going to be at Kalahari again this year, which is close to Sandusky.
Sure.
We had looked at other venues, and we had anticipated using somewhere else, but we just couldn't. It fell through.
Well, I know. Yeah, we were there last year, and it was a very nice venue, I thought.
It is. Actually, they're very good to us. Also, the food is amazing.
Yeah.
They really try to help us accommodate our people with different menus, which really helps. Right. Also, before I forget it, I wanted to mention the vendor hall.
Yes.
The vendor hall, the societies, we hope will be several of those there this year, and as well as vendors. But, Kalahari is cashless, but the vendor hall is not.
Right. Yeah.
So we need to remember that because, most of our small societies don't have the opportunity to have a charge card or a machine to do that with. Right. So we need to remember to bring that cash because we're hoping to have lots of books. I always see what OGS brings to sell.
Oh, it'll be good again this year. Trust me.
Yeah. If I get there before Michael Locapo.
Well, yeah, and he'll show up. He'll show up on the last day too, right at the last minute as well.
Yes.
So
and take everything you have.
Yeah. So, are you looking forward to any particular programs for yourself, or did you not get a chance to really enjoy any of them?
Well, I try to pick out a few things that I'm looking forward. I really like Dana Palmer, and she's going to talk about different things. But I like the Finding Your Way in the UK. Okay. It's not going to be just about the records where they are. It's finding where those records are, the different jurisdictions, what it means. I really like her a lot. Yeah. We just have so many good things. As an Irish researcher, which I am not very good at, Michael Brophy is going to talk about shamrocks in cyberspace. Uh-huh. So it's information about your Irish ancestors that's on the internet.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
I know one of the best talks I went to, I think it was my first OGS conference, was a talk about using the Ancestry search bar. Yes. I mean, things you take for granted sometimes as someone, and just showing you kind of a lot of tricks of that. So I like I said, I've learned something new at every single conference I've been to.
Oh, me too. Also, and I never can say his name right. It's Chris from Michigan.
Okay, Chris from Michigan.
I don't know. He has such a long name. Everybody knows he works at the archives. Okay. But he's going to talk about the American citizen, family history research with naturalization records.
Oh, okay.
And I think they're an underutilized thing in our world. So yeah, we have just so many nice things that I'm excited about. I wish I could do them all. And also, one of my favorite researchers, I'm a German, of course, most sides. Michael Locapo is going to do German genealogy and the internet. Okay. Now, I realize everything is not on the internet, but it's certainly a great place to start. Yeah. Get your feet wet a little bit.
That's another trend when talking to folks for the podcast is genealogists is, the internet's great, but at some point, you got to go somewhere else.
Right. And also this year we have a lot of DNA. I am not a DNA expert, but I know Drew Smith does a lot with DNA, and he's going to talk about that quite a bit, as well as Diane Elder. Okay. So I'm hoping that.
It's interesting because it'll be interesting to hear. I would be curious to know at some point, genealogists and their take on the ethics behind DNA. Where you hear what's going on with 23andMe right now, with possibly selling some of their data to folks, and it starts to get you a little worried as someone who has taken part in those programs.
Yes. Oh, and another great DNA expert we have is Richard Hill, and he's going to talk about the ethics involved.
Oh, there we go. Okay, great.
In genealogy and how it can shape things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
So I think
Well, that's very helpful. It's very useful.
Yes, it is. I'm just real pleased with everything that we have. We do have kind of a hodgepodge category called Happy Days.
Okay.
So it
Cool.
has just a little bit of this and that in it, so that we're pleased with. Excellent methodology.
Okay.
One of the underused, I think, elements is tax lists, and Beidler's going to talk about tax lists and the window tax, because in Pennsylvania, especially Pennsylvania, they even tax the windows.
Yeah.
So they're very useful to know exactly where your family and what they had. You know, they had a window or not, glass.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to be a great conference. We are thankful for everyone who's helped with it. We do have a wonderful group of ladies and gentlemen that's helping us. Couldn't do it without them.
Great.
Of course, in the vendor hall, we have door prizes again. Those are always a big hit. So
yeah, I know, it's interesting. We talk about chapters being of the backbone, but volunteerism is also a huge part of that. Strength of the OGS is the fact that people step up and volunteer to undertake some of these really significant projects.
Yes, and it is a project. Let me tell you, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I'm glad I did, because I've learned quite a bit. But I'm just real pleased with this year. Something else with this in this hodgepodge track, we have riding the rails, discovering the hobos in your family.
Nice. I'll have to be at that one.
Well, it's interesting because my mother always said that they had a little mark on your house, and they would come to the door. But I guess that hobos started in the late 19th century, and they traveled the rails, and I think my mother was one of them that fed them. So,
well, that's nice of her. Not everybody did.
In the 20s and 30s, there wasn't a lot of money, so. But I remember she said there was a mark. So that ought to be a really, and that's with Amber Oldenburg.
Okay.
So she's really good too.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, Deb, why don't you give us the details on the conference, when, where, how much, if we know that yet, or when the registration starts and things like that?
Well, it's going to be April the 10th through the 13th at Kalahari, which is close to Cincinnati. Registration will begin in just a couple weeks. Is it the 17th? I'm not even sure. I'm sorry.
I believe it'll be the day after Thanksgiving is usually
day after Thanksgiving. Sounds good to me. Early bird ends February 23rd of 2014. Please get your registrations in as soon as you can. We're really looking forward to having a great conference.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Deb, for joining me today for the Ohio Roots podcast to talk about the OGS conference next year. I really appreciate it. We'll give people the link to that at the end of the episode and make sure it's on our podcast page. So thanks again, Deb.
Thank you.
I hope they all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, I don't know about you, but hearing all that's planned for 2024 at the OGS conference, I'm very excited about attending again this year. I always really enjoy the opportunities to see the speakers, meet vendors, meet OGS members, meet non-members. It's a really great opportunity to socialize and educate myself more and more on genealogy and Ohio genealogy specifically. So I just want to thank Deb for coming on Ohio Roots podcast today, talking to us about the conference, and I hope to see all of you at the conference next year. For more information on the 2024 OGS Conference, visit the OGS website at www.ogs.org and click on the OGS Conference tab at the top of the page.
The Ohio Roots Podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Genealogical Society, the premier gateway for discovering your Ohio family history. Hosted by OGS Executive Director Noel Poirier and edited by Luke Poirier. Theme song is Beautiful Ohio, recorded by Bob Stanley and his orchestra in 1944. To learn more about joining the Ohio Genealogical Society, visit www.ogs.org.